Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
This one's entitled Risen. I hate feeling like I'm never enough. So I write words on paper, hoping the ink in my pen can cure me. After all, I'm just bittersweet poetry. I became everything I fear, so now I'm fearless. The poetry that reveals itself as a wet stain on my notebook is just a reminder that this is simply all the love I could never give myself in putting it to good use. Yet just when I thought I conquered that angry anxiety in me like an angry deity, a spark of lightning crashes onto my life course, giving me every single color in the rainbow, but without the glow. See, this only happens when I challenge my synapses, like my neurons don't understand why they're always strung out. Like why I can revert back to addictions that I shadow as old habits. Like why I hold myself to a standard I stay choking at because the noose is my good place. See, I can always smile the biggest because the hurt inside of me is a gaping hole that has a gravitational pull on everything I try to hold on to. So I resort to thinking, if I can cut myself down at every instant with the sharpest razor blades, then maybe my highs can just be mids and gravity won't hurt as much because I too have a tendency to destroy whatever helps me get off the ground between every "how are you today" is and "I'm fine, but I don't think I'll ever be okay." It's another demonic phrase I associate with between the length of my smile to the length of my broken heart. And I say broken because shattered sounds too winded. Shattered sounds like shards of false loyalty piercing my skin again as a reminder that I only know how to befriend people that walk around like they are weapons of mass destruction. I gargle the tears that run down my face so frequently. Saltwater streams create crevices only they can navigate through until they reach my holy grail of a mouth that puddles all of the drenched and damp doubts, my desperation till my depression again. As my liquid soul finally drains itself out of me, and I let out a dry sigh of relief, I drop my burden like a rusted ball and chain, trying to anchor my body into another ocean, only for me to realize that being an island doesn't mean you need to drown first, or even ever. The dingy despair of my feelings smell like laundry I just never got around to, or a wrung out towel that's been taken from a bathtub filled with waterlogged wounds that sat out in the sun for far too long. It's now become a stale, stained, mediocre savior or a cluttered bedroom. I carved pathways out of the mazes in my mind. I'm amazed how my mind can still work so vigorously. My emotions smell like wood chips from sharpening endless amounts of pencils that keep me writing with sweaty fists, and how the rubber constantly erasing the nuances of my existence can feel like I smeared my blood on every page to remind myself that everything beautiful has a consequence. Exhausted, but not extinguished. The subtleties that life breathes into me that barely escape the battered and bruised. The untying of the noose. The drawer that keeps away all of the sharp things reminds me that I've died a million times. It is reminding myself that if someone or anyone can love a dying thing this way, then maybe my anguish is the most beautiful tarnished. A wounded warrior, the phoenix that had to burn first to feel the most alive. I want to say all the shit that doesn't leave my mouth. I want to say all the shit that won't ever make it to your ears because the pages bound to my notebook are holding my words hostage from you, your thoughts, your lips, your soul. I want to speak, but all I do is write, hoping somehow my poems get mailed to you, but I can't seem to get myself to stamp my approval on every lingering thought, so I managed to write about how none of this is getting to you instead. I want to write you a poem. I want to write you a letter of affirmation that even though we don't align, being in the same orbit is kind of ideal type poem. I want to write, I can see what you're feeling, but you're so out of reach. Your sense of touch isn't getting to my sense of self, but as long as I'm in your peripheral, you'll be okay, I promise type of poem. I want to write a my heart's too big, so I'm offering it to all the parts you hate about yourself type poem. I want to write a damn. I just want to sit here with you in silence because our words take up too much space anyways, that I want to enjoy you in the simplest type of form type poem. I want to write the he's so fine, I want to cuddle and stare at the stars while R&B is playing in the background and I feel like I'm in a music video where I get to be happy in the end type poem. I want to write about the shit I actually want to talk about. I want to talk about love to the person I love. I want to speak about your scars and why it hurts more when they fade. I want you to talk about your healing with me. I want to talk about the victories I thought I couldn't win and the losses I thought I'd die from. I want to speak about battles I didn't know I was fighting, but I want to pray that I never lose sight of me and mines. I want to talk about education and how our youth deserves justice in ways we will never be able to reach. I want to talk about how nobody talks about mental health or genocide or wars, unless it's a glamorized month or on the news for longer than 30 minutes. I want to write about love. Like, it's the sweetest thing to ever be written that the world around us turns into Candyland as soon as my ink hits paper. I want to write about me being a fixer and how I like to assume everything around us is broken. I want to write about the unspoken. I want to write aimlessly, like my words are really this holy. I want to write like my words are no longer being held captive by my tongue, who's too scared of what my mouth might do once my ears hear the truth. I want to write like my bars are meant to be studied by scholars who were doubted by society. I want to be idolized from the ink that touched paper, not the person who wrote it. I want every beautiful feminine creature roaming this world right now to understand that I tried. I want to be thanked by men who felt like their stigmatized mental health don't exist because society said so, but thrives when they read my shit. I pray when I die, my words linger like lyrics from your favorite song and you smile like the sun was created just for you. I only wish to never be forgotten or lost. I refuse to think I was just made to exist when every ounce of my being creates a story, a narrative. I'm an oracle. I'm here as a book that's tailored for those who live beyond their thoughts and emotions. I want to write about everything I want to be. See, I don't share my mind too often, but this is that free your mind type poem. Poetry allowed me to live beyond what I dreamed of. Poetry will allow me to die with my soul on my sleeve. So if you ever, and if you never saw me in my notebook coming, I'll make sure you'll read and grieve when I leave. She's a storyteller that has two tongues, a mouth that houses a double helix lingua, a velvet organ that is fluent about struggle but will speak all the good parts because she's afraid her stories will leave her lonely. She's a lonely storyteller. That's what she tells herself. She upkeeps this narrative because her life is now a folktale. Her whispers sounds like tall tales, only because she never has witnesses. Now she lives to tell soil stories rooted from anguish from the tongues of wounded warriors. This is what it feels like to chase your dreams. How you get the shakes like life is the biggest withdrawal you'll ever experience. The uncertainties, the adversities of being a poet brings you can sometimes bring you to your knees, hands intertwined, eyes shut. Shh. Me and the universe are still talking. I found out dreams come true if you let yourself believe them after you wake up. I just want to be the one in my family to actually create the career I've always wanted instead of climbing this corporate ladder that wasn't ever made for me anyways. This is what assimilation looks like. How my name is the whitest thing about me, like BeeYonka can't also mean purity, but why white gotta mean I'm pure? Why white gotta mean I'm cleansed? Like colonizers aren't tired yet? Like colonizers would ever get tired, trying to silence the loudest whispers. Hardest workers, job takers, immigrant farmers. This is what brown noise really sounds like. Kumain ka na. Magpahinga ka muna. Sige na, may gagawin pa ako. Hardest workers in the room are the last to eat. It's like a reward to know everyone can have a full belly twice over, that being hungry doesn't even phase the sense of completion you feel. Job takers will sleep when they're dead. That's how you know you've lived a good life. A life that you survived all odds, even if you couldn't survive long enough to see how much your labor has affected me. Farming the seed it took forever for you to plant, rooted with cause and direction like the sun showed me the way. Now my belly aches with words you've never said. Silence becomes my silver lining, my savior, my lullaby. Brown noise sounds the best when I lay my head to rest. This is what being cultured be like. A token hire, a demographic representative, a statistical stereotype, a benevolent citizen, a remorseful person, a mathlete, a submissive fantasy. Now ain't that some shit? Ain't that some motherfucking shit? POC. Pause over cause, power over conflict, people of color planning our coalition, products of colonialism, passports, opportunities, citizenship, peace over conquest, pride over our culture, politically opposite of correct, presides over crisis, protect our children, provide our communities with places of camaraderie, press-ons and chains, pop in our collars, playing craps on the corner, pools of conversation, play a hating over change. Pleading over calamity, preparing our children for prison pipelines over community colleges, police protocol over changing communities, pretending our country's objectively perfect, prosecutions over careers, catastrophe over pedagogy, planes of certainty crashing onto places of caution, panic over calmness, petrified, overstimulated, confusion, pondering our conundrums, petitions of countless causes, policies over change, philanthropy over climate change, philosophers of chemical warfare, praying others will cease fire. Policies over rules change, policies over rules change, policies over rules change, piecing our consciousness, putting our culture on, planting our crops produces possibilities of change, plotting our crescendo, pleading our case, protecting our cause, people of catalysts, product of crops, poet of cultivation, created on planet Earth by communities of powerful people, Filipino poet of culture, POC.
My mind unwinding, finding clues I left behind me, designed for my uprising, I choose the breath inside me, lined by undying views of a muse who sat beside me. Knowledge I held tight to, language I spelled right through, image I excelled my sights true, through pieces of my past life into speeches that I cast live, a few breaches in my glass eye, reviewed teachers as I passed by. I grew true glitches stitched in space-time to expand my mind in lieu of bass vibes. Sincerely. Who knew the hinges had been swinging freely, briefly allowing wishes to seep deep into reality? Clearly astounding, these glimpses creep around me. It's beginning to allow me to see how we fit existing in the now beat. I sit emitting a resounding, bright light that surrounds me, insisting I might take flight proudly. Loudly I sound off, tossed a few words into the sky while I fly around lost, spew 2/3 of my mind at no cost to you or whoever happens to cross paths with a version of me rapping about these diversionary tactics, certain words to make them backflip. I classically spit magic, burden birds who passively flew past it. I sarcastically chew plastic, surge into Earth's passage, manage to do damage artistically, rhythmically laughing about all the past lives I was trapped in. The one known as no one knows what happened. I fashioned a glowing orb from a flowing storm, so I had something to pass him for hunting crass hymns. Transmitting Gnostic visions by twisting optic ribbons, I remember being born on more than one occasion. A defender who is sworn to warn all of the neighbors. I render my physical form based on all the greatest. Am I the bravest or a sadist? Flipping through all life's pages, I found out we're all made with the same sound vibration. I blame ground displacement for lame unbound migration. Salutations, my friends, with all my love and appreciations.
Sometimes I zone out so much that the shadows move. Sometimes I lose myself, lose my identity too. I mean, the identity void, a body, the body cast aside of its spark, consistently spinning out, ran dry of its ability to survive without my ego. A stranger, my ego, a jail keeper, a pinochle player who doesn't know the rules but still manages to win the money in the pool, keeps shuffling the cards to crowd the mind, distract the I am, waiting for a rewind. I can't remember a time where we're not always in a crisis of who I am. Who I am consists of puzzle pieces glued together by science fiction emulations, animations, neatly organized like compact discs in a leather booklet, zippered shut, watertight like the seal of surgical cuts, stitching shrouds over my soul, because if I ever go without a mask, the hermit crab goes without a home. I'm the shell. I play that role well, but sometimes I believe I can finally see. I get inspired to break free in my habitual delusions of circumlocutions, polluting my vocal cords when I speak in revolutions with a capital I. I get synthesized, wind myself up until I'm supercharged, energized, ready for the next phase where I go silent and dissolution quickens my disassociative crazes, perpetuating isolation, self-interrogation, and misappropriation of sensory information until I'm overloaded, overwhelmed, overtaxed. I need assistance to get out of this hell. I need help. I need help. I need help. Deciphering partitions of myself. When I was Sisyphus at age 7, pushing burdens up mountains, pushing on without cessation at 13 years old, it was self-mutilation, the intoxication, the continuation of an oxen working till its last breath. But no points for dying, so I turned 17 traumas into trying, into exercising, into running escape plans in my head until I was strong enough to run. So I ran and I ran and I ran, and not knowing where I went, wondering if these shoes that never fit were the product of normalization, of fallacious reason, like always processing, what does it mean if every memory locked inside my cognitive labyrinth floats like a dragonfly and aims for the atlas, stings like 1,000 hornets and pulls no punches, my skull becomes a wandering artist. Dazed and confused, siphoning present muses and finding new hues to embellish and emboss into a world where I can be more authentic. Sometimes my mind becomes clear as sky. Brushstrokes of ivory white and azure concealing the plain truth of my starshine, coddled by conditioned disguise. And on nights like these at 3 a.m. when I write, I begin to realize sometimes I zone out so much that the shadows move. And sometimes the shadows move because I allowed them to.
She keeps an aphrodisiac, sensual right down to the hair follicles. Ask I, the afro comb that frolics inside its pitch black density, if there will ever be any superior strokes to disentangle the roots that shoot out of the chimney of her blackened thoughts. And this is what my bullet-ridden corpse would say. I turn her inside out, while the rubric of her scalp's pubics is to turn my metal outside in. I am Angela's Afro's chosen one, the delicate collision inside her sacred crown. I awaken her with military drills, boots stomping upon Dawn's cheeks until they blush blood red on the horizon, ready to march through the lush thickness of her mane. Her Amazon of curls, a praying mantis in whose tender grip my wind chimes of psalms are answered, gliding through tendrils the color of midnight, choking on volcanic ashes and washing them down with the turbulent silence of her morning Black Panther meditation. I am her metal lover, tracing every curve, caressing the rhythm of each coil, and in her hair I lose myself until the friction has turned me into a lightning conductor. Her electricity, mine, her afro, a halo of defiance, a power loom, weaving each strand of lightning into guitar strings for the forbidden funk in her soul, a wild symphony of black silk spiraling in water for rebellion. And from the baptism, I am fully charged, a fully blown afro DJ, a series of echoes disentangling, unfurling like 1,000 fish in a breeze made of glass. We dance in intimate whispers. I, the explorer of a galaxy, mapping constellations of railroads for dream seekers to wish upon braided knots of wind. Each twist a revolution, each kink a song, a clump of stories, ancestors, warriors, classified secrets, sonnets, prayers for her aphrodisiac. She is my muse, and I, her loyal devotee in this ritual of love and unknotting. Her afro is an intoxicating garden where I roam freely, entwined in the magic of her being, knowing as the day breaks, as the day breaks, and as the day breaks, and she steps into the world, she carries with her the echoes of our sensual dance, her aphrodisiac, each strand the national anthem to our undeniable, unshakable, unstoppable truth. So let the hair stand, Angela.
Most people who see me out in the world see me as stoic, as professional. They see me as all the things I've been trained to be in order to survive, to be successful. But the truth is, I am a crybaby. I cry at everything. I cry for myself. I cry for others. I cry because the tree outside my bedroom window is just so freaking beautiful. I cry because my body is tight and I don't know why. I cry because I'm a sponge that I've forgotten to wring out for far too long. And so when I do, it's a deluge of all the shit I don't need, but it's also a flood of the reminders of the things that I want. I cry because I interrupted that person one time, which I felt bad about for 3 weeks and still kind of think about sometimes. I cry because I've seen my brother for the first time in 3 years to clean out our dead mom's house and immediately having to send him back to California. I cry because otherwise the grief would destroy me. I cry because my boyfriend's daughter so desperately wanted to express herself but felt too unsafe. I cry because I couldn't give her that safe space. I cry because these are words I will never get to hear. I cry because of my friend slipping into a coma as his GoFundMe collected funds because medical debt kills. I cry because he died the morning of the night of the open mic to raise funds for his care, but instead it went to his funeral because he's dead. He's dead. I cry because our healthcare system is fucked. I cry because he lived. I cry because our paths crossed and my life is better for it. I cry because a different friend stopped drying flowers to make potpourri because too many women made fun of him for creating such beauty in his life. I cry because we need more men who bring beauty into this world. I cry because my friend confided about the abuse she experienced. I cry because of her starting to cry because it had been so long since someone cried with her. I cry because we all deserve someone to cry with us. I cry because I feel. And I feel like that stream that flows gurgling behind my house, the stream where I laid to rest that starling that killed itself in my attic out of stress. I cry like that stream washing away all that needs to be acknowledged, but does not need to be held onto. I cry like that stream so that I can keep going. I cry because I do take things personally. Shouldn't we all take things a little bit more personally? That tree blooming outside my window reminds me what life can be like when it's uninterrupted, when there are no barriers to flourishing, when our very existence is beauty.
Welcome, friends. Clasp hands, gather in. I invite each of you to break bread, imbibe, and abide in what appears again apposite to me. An analogy, an opposite view between the apostle and the apostate, with the former accounts as admission, the latter states is mere apostrophe, an agitprop aegis to absolve accountability. Pathological white lies by pathetic appeal weaponized, a pathetic putting on of false airs to veil the arrogant pomp and flair of an uncaring narcissist's white knight campaign of contrite derision, under pretext of beneficent olive branch petition, unsolicited, aggressive, pious permission to veer away from the hot pink road to perdition, an ornamental white flag of complicity, waving pridefully over shadowed valleys of blood-soaked Oscar Wilde carnations. A coarse bundle of gorse sticks, a handsome pyre upon which to affix and engulf armies of A-marked hands, their mortal sin being love. Hosanna in the highest has hindered another dogged contender introduced to a crowded blender mixed alongside legal tender and pureed, a soiree of thought designed expressly to forget her. I cannot seem to forgive myself for snuffing out nascent cinders of fires that required only more air and no more tinder. I can't even hear you right now. My brain is splintered. 5,000 voices crowd me. I feed them bread and angler. I am a vivid painter, a most magnanimous creator. Wickedly talented, I am my own greatest danger. Disappointing Daedalus is my idea of adventure. Tantalizing fruit beyond my reach is what's for dinner. Where have I been? What do you mean? Why does it matter? There or here, I'm in the ladder, peering into the eyes of a faggot battered and finding behind his tears only fear and fetters and tattered. I stun with panache. The world's a stage. I'm a dancer. Rose petals scatter the proscenium. I should feel so flattered. But I do not. Incapable of believing that I matter, I loathe the thought that I should desire a quick fix to get better. Why would require I any course of treatment to help me weather the rain that's precipitated my life when I've tuned out the pitter-patter? Without it, who am I? Is there anything left? My ego? Shattered? Well, maybe on the other side there's a kernel of something better. I suppose I cannot really possibly know until after. I need only present my silvered pride on this wounded platter.
Adulthood is a lonely neighborhood. Yeah, I walk down that lonely road in a world that's treated me coldly. Dead body cold, yeah. There have been times in my prime which I had a better chance of pushing a camel through the eye of a sewing needle than finding warmth in this emotional ice age. But then all it takes is a spark. It illuminates through the dark and finding its way to grow into an ember with an accompanying warmth that will surrender into a wildfire that doesn't destroy, but rather builds into a ball of intensity that rivals the forces of 1,000 suns. I'm gonna render you into a state of shock, and you will not be coming down for a long time, yeah. I'm gonna make you sigh and wheeze and sweat and bleed, and you'll feel like you've been in a car wreck. But I won't make you bleed. The harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. There's nothing wrong with the little shrubbery in the pitches, yeah. Nothing wrong at all. Nothing wrong with grabbing a little bit of bush and tug it by the roots and see how you react. And when the nerve endings from that area shoot up to your spine, all the way to the divine leak in your mind, yeah, you will find something that you've never found before, and that's a new kink, yeah. That's a new kink, and that kink is getting your pubes. Yeah, savage like that, dig it. And before you know it, you'll succumb to my might, and you'll be looking up at the lights, consumed by the madness. Yeah, the madness will consume you faster than a blink of an eye. It will happen so fast that you won't be able to even talk about it. Life comes at you fast, but you will be coming faster. Yeah. Don't blink an eye. Don't buy any ripe bananas. Don't plan too much of your future, yeah, because by the time the dust has settled, you will be reduced to a puddle of pleasure in which I will bask and bathe in. Oh, yeah!
Love conquers all. Love conquers me. Love conquers us. Does love really conquer all? Can it cover up crevices of darkness peeking through, trying to digest the light it wasn't meant for? Can love show me ways to get to where I'm supposed to go besides through pain and healing first? The space my body takes up is a bridge, filling the gap between a rock and a hard place. Only concrete thoughts are welcomed here. Because I'm tired of floating and then sinking and then gasping for air. Love is finicky, like a fish out of water, baited by promises, trapped by vows, pulsating in a bucket filled with hope, like it kept trying to catch itself. Love creates laughter and sadness. It's a wild card of wisdom. It gives us a deck of cards we never know how to deal. Love conquers any conversation. But we never know if it's showing us shadows painted on the illuminated walls or if it's a bloodline baited with broken promises. See, love can be as deep as the ocean, but seems to only thrive in shallow waters, enough to see from the surface, drowning growth and washing away impurities of the conquered, like how the conquistadores loved on my people, so now we carry crucifixes of their names on the backs of our native tongue that now speaks of blended love, tongue twisted with confusion, tornadoes of troubled truth, and although I know it's tradition to forget, the memory of pain is embedded into my spine because my body carries the stories of my ancestors, so when it rains, it pours, and when it rains, my ancestors weep, weeping woefully as love conquers the corners of my mind, connoisseurs of the cerebral cortex that composes our consciousness, interlocking with hook, line, and sinker. I'm sinking, I'm floating, I'm gasping for air, but everyone stares like I've just reached the bottom of the fish tank. Love has put me in a spectator sport. Everyone stares like love can be fluid, as if love can't run through us. Only away from us, love conquers water. The tides offering the gifts we think we need until it drowns us in tsunami sorrows. So when we talk about it, we can laugh until breathing becomes a gift. Or how love conquers women through social media, instant gratification, only to lure them into a world full of trauma and left with cadavers of regret at the hands of men who had no intention of giving their hearts away, so they took hers instead. The love we embody always takes somebody. But this is the love I know. This is how I remember it. The way a fish is still a fish even after it's been gutted. And do you think the fish forgave you? See, love can conquer anything. It can conquer your heart like a cancer, eating away until you're nothing left but a vessel of your mistakes disguising themselves as something beautiful. That kintsugi type of love, you know, like shattered but lacquered with gold to highlight how love could murder you into living. See, love conquers your mind. Love tricks you into thinking that maybe, but just maybe, you can sleep on a heavy heart, anchoring you to the ocean floor, swimming with the world's wonders, wondering if you'll ever be good enough. So I guess what I'm asking you is, does love really conquer all? Because I love thee with the love I seem to lose.
It really sucks. I had to write this. These silly fucks, I'm mad I have to write this. Leave nothing left. Achieve a cutting breath. Seething, I'm hunting threats. Proceed to succeed with every step. Cleave, gutting, shred peace till there's nothing left. Theft in plain sight. My brain ain't right. Night falls into sin. Walls closing in. I'm frozen. Chosen to be broken. Token dropped in. I'm off the deep end. Always want to sleep in. Seen as the reason that the legions creep in. Dream of a season. Hats half eaten. I'm past grieving. Sneak towards treason. Speak swords, beacons, weaken boards, leaf and cords. Leave the wards. Winding up, grinding through hordes. Finding bluffs. Gloves wrap my wrists like handcuffs. I'm past this shit. It's not enough. Time. I laughed at this. No fronts. Just rhyme. Now past the blunt, I'm high. I'm so fine. Okay. No way. Go play. Slay all the mics. I throw them away on the day to day. Won't even change the way my deranged brain sings and slangs pain. Raw ether, speaker brings weaker things seep into your veins. You sheep, you're all the same. Creep into my lane. As you could see, I'm to blame. Hot and running off with no aim. It's so lame. Plot something stunning to feed your brain. I'll just hop out holding a flag that reads, I'm insane.
I fear our attention spans have quickened to the point that great suffering is no longer angering to us, but for the 7 seconds our consciousness is locked into media feeds, scrolling endlessly into the darkness of dawn where dunes of doom shift with every narrative, criticism, and opinion siphoned from a lattice of world events split into snippets. Censored for graphic images of the innocent bomb to shred children without limbs or heads, stomachs as skeletal and hollow as Ecuadorian caves where tourists go spelunking, searching for bats that feel just as threatened by luminescence as we are when faced with scenes of moral afflictions. I fear our attention spans have declined into a point of planned obsolescence. Even the best of us who have the ability to burden the flames of resistance must subside at times to focus on the basics. Survival, not of the fittest, as a geriatric scientist once said, but of the richest, who derail the riches of shared spaces and sign ammunition packages with their scribbled signatures of egos, reaching for pearls and coffins which line their pockets of barons, banks, and battalions marching to paint the landscape red with hatred and disdain for their very own existence. I fear our attention spans have lost their sense of direction. Even as I speak and you listen, the phrases delineate from their positions, intermingle, and now blend into impermanence. Like the homeless woman with manic depression standing on the median stares into your window, hoping the stoplight stays red while you wait for the opposite. Thinking how unfortunate it must be to have no money to give or receive in the 3 seconds it takes for you to leave her, equally, if not more, desperate for connection. Genuine human interaction is in scarce supply when every eye juggles daily life with quick glances of digital dopamine, that bubbling Chardonnay of cacophonies bled dry of authentic communication feeds us clips of black flips and tourniquets. Push-up bras and bloody saws, 90-second reels of first words and last breaths, and intuitive messages every 7 seconds that ring like the burning bells of Notre Dame when it was burned. That's a fuck up. There are beings suffering worse than we going about our business. If we could all focus longer than it took for the impoverished to ascertain assistance, then we wouldn't be so damn tired of searching for the next silver lining. Perhaps we would even find the energy to prevent great suffering from continually climbing.
For a second, I took my eyes away from the sky. And in just that seemingly infinite nothingness of time, I missed it. I missed you and God locked in a gaze like conjoined spirits in a millisecond that lasted for days. I missed seeing God smile and blink for a while to leave butterfly earthquakes in your childlike eyes. I guess I was distracted by the reflection of the sun inside them. I was studying to see if the heat could withstand the stare down, which when each single ray walks down inside them and finds a raging fire unlike the sun could ever dream. When for the first time this reflection in anything else other than water, as if seeing its vision through this mirror made of pure diamond. Then I noticed you smile wide, and I thought that was odd. And the cloud covered the sun like an eclipse. It was God. This is how I noticed God's reflection on your strawberry lips. I turned around and was amazed. They say, look away when God appears, but I took in God's shapeless form and felt myself best with the entire unwritten infinite cosmos. I was taken to the utmost where the only other beings were you and me. I remember thinking, if God does this every morning, then give us a siren warning or something, because when God blinks, God's eyelashes will cause highway crashes as comets fall from the dark night. Because when God winks, it leaves the whole universe less intact and shakes the Milky Way so hard that it gushes into black holes and leaves the sky lactose intolerant. If God does this every day, then this planet is in trouble. You know, I've already dreamed you suckling a child who won't as yet reveal her face in my dream. Her beauty is still being put together from the veins of medicinal leaves. I think I've told you I've never held pearls in my palms. But I suspect that your eyes are pearls. But if God granted me a chance to watch over them tonight, I'll probably wait for you to sleep, then pop them gently like shooting stars out of their constellation, tip them from their sockets into my hands, leave you blind for an eternity, keep staring at them in my palms until they reveal exactly what you saw in me, because you stared at me expansively and expensively. I'll be too slow to remove my eyes and place them there next to yours until I've memorized the maps of all the places in the world that these pearls in my palms have dreamed to see. I'll even go back to your past, see every lucky net that had the song of those beautiful feet that hold up your resilient bones. I'll treat those pearls like a pair of crystal balls, reading inside them the future and divining in them the pain that you've seen, feeling the texture of your language of sorrow, such that if we speak again tomorrow, I can choose my words according to your every emotion, carefully, every curve of it, and learn what hurts you in the gut sense of words, so as never to punch you there, even with a mistaken elbow.
Saturno, the harsh master, fear devouring his children. The emperor, the rigid leader, war devouring his people, all for the promise of a peaceful tomorrow. The United States, the disconnected states, systems devouring its people, all for the promise of a peaceful tomorrow for a few. I crave something softer than Saturn, softer than needing someone to die in order for there to be peace. Peace for who? I crave something softer. I crave stillness. I crave thoughtfulness. I crave connection. Even when that connection has to be carved out of marble, one gentle tap of the chisel at a time, revealing the masterpiece held inside. I crave something softer still. It's easy to feel like I've been tapping away for nothing. People are out here dropping bombs, shattering any hope of this masterpiece. But I'm here with you right now, and I know in some way, this is the softness I'm looking for. Something softer than even that marble of connection. Did you know that vulnerability can feel safe? It's called play. Maybe the softness of structure I'm seeking is a warm but shaded sandbox with plenty of room to play, to let my imagination run wild, free to step beyond the slight barrier, but a choice to stay within, where I have the space and the security to explore what could be, where it feels safe to invite you in, a soft place to fall. No one has to get hurt. Not really. What would this kind of softness look like? What would it feel like? Let's explore and find out. Will you play with me?
This is Abstract Lithium Factory. Sometimes cigars are just cigars, like Freud said. A boy turned man still sleeping in mom's bed. Sometimes I pine over the fact that I'm not dead. I'm well-read, educated, full of enough cred, abilities to command synthetic symmetries. It's humbling, the essential part of me nobody likes to see. When it rears its head, everyone is an enemy. They're filled with enmity. The animus is on a CD that looms on loop in the back of my brain electronically. I'm hopelessly paralyzed. I know there's something wrong with the way I feel about everything. I plead what is wrong with me as blaring siren peal repeals my rationality. Can I hope for change? And is it fixable? This part of me that plays the thing, and I always hate not knowing how to be. I'm sentient, fully aware, and beginning to see exactly how I smile and wave to hide misplaced anxiety. I shouldn't be around other people. I'm a flight risk, subtly climbing in their head and hiding there like a benign cyst. It's devilish, I'm charming, but I'm also selfish. If I sell fish, I'm fishing my hand in the charity jar for $1.06. Why should they get it anyway when they don't pay rent? I've given enough to hospitals. At this point, it's ridiculous that I should break my back to piss away my hard-earned bucks to this. I have a sixth sense that says I shouldn't give my 6 cents to sick kids. My neurons fire across crisscrossed lattices. I follow up cogent thought with non sequitur tangents. It's uncanny how I link things and expect others to manage or even fathom the fathoms deep hair holes of a mind manic. But here I go again, so why don't you all take a pass at stepping a beat inside my head as I step through the looking glass? I'm not a rapper, I'm a poet. I'm a word adapter, a hapless addict to rapping seamless syntax that doesn't tatter, but never sees the light of day. It's lightning that I'm after as I seize the swirling seas in my head comprised of idle chatter. I seldom canter, I air pedantic. I'm after a calling beyond a spot in the echo chambers of mindless chowder. Let's right away cut to the lean soul and write rhymes fatter than mad lads leaping high off of tall ladders, their ankles shattered. But all this style without substance contains no heart, no candor. It's by and large the same, empty drivel passing for witty banter. If I could dribble just a moment on this tangent matter, rhyming for the sake of style proves no easy endeavor, but only with the touch of a deft hand, light as a feather, may it come together all at the very end, and for that be better. But even the best distractions must retire. When the thrill is gone, life returns with a tire iron. I'm convinced that in a past go, I must have played with fire and stoked the ire of a being higher than I after inhaling a rail of barbed wire. The bump leaves me elated. Glory, sings the choir. It trains its eyes on me, but I'm too goddamn tired. My vision narrows, and I cannot seem to sire a plan to emerge victorious from the quagmire. What can I say? Self-amnesty is hard for me. In my cardboard packaging, grace came hardly. I was dropped a drop on the doorstep of a house party where I graced a happy home, the most unfortunate adoptee. What's the point of getting good things given heartily when for some non-inchoate part of me, my success is not what it wants to see? I've lost morale before, but these wounds bleed mortally. I'm morally opposed to not stopping the problem. The problem's me. Hello, how are you? I'm pleased to meet you so cordially. You can call me Icarus. Please avail yourself of my canopy. From my perch, I view the ground below with apathy. Colors and shapes I can't relate to threaten my sanity. I'm not really a part of your world, only partially. And so far as my being here, bereft of any sincerity, can seriously be considered as more than anomaly, and verily. Is he a waste of imparity, he who cares nothing for his own posterity? I've given myself too many reasons for new austerity. My own polarity pollutes my life with too much severity, self-barbarity of endless temerity and asperity. Hospice can provide me no care. I mean, this is verity. If this is really it for me, there is no angularity. I understand the decision to seize my cellularity. And if things do go that way, I can tender meager clarity in the form of 4 more pseudo-sonnets offered voluntarily.
So here's one I like to call To Rebecca and Orlando. I didn't know you existed until you came in the mail in a box. The 9-year-old me was puzzled by the box he came in, thinking that it was some form of holiday cheer after having to bury an uncle on Christmas Eve. Curiosity clawing at the chalkboards in my mind, I asked my dad, "What's inside the box, Dad?" He slowly picked up the package with a blank yet somber disposition and said, "That's your brother and other sister." With the glow that lit up the kitchen brighter than the ceiling lamp, I asked, "Are you telling me the stork gave us 2 eggs to hatch? I'm going to be an older brother?" "No," Dad replied with an exasperated sigh. What I was about to hear next would crumble my sense of reality. "Before you were born, you had a brother and another sister, but they died. To think that I embraced you both, not knowing it was the first time I physically came in touch with the kin I never knew. This was also the first time I heard and learned about Down syndrome and heart defects, about medical malpractice and lawsuits, about cremation and your names. This was also the first time in my life I truly was speechless, and that I wasn't equipped to bear the weight of this truth. My memory fades out until New Year's Eve, 1999, when our parents and our older sister, Vanessa, and I went to a church where there was this service for you. It was a second straight Friday morning which I was in a church. It would also be the last time, for I began to connect churches to death and tears running down Mom and Vanessa's faces. Unlike the week before, however, Dad didn't cry for you two. I want to know much later that Dad isn't necessarily the best father figure. You two are lucky to have not known our father the way Vanessa and I have. In fact, I'll go on the record saying he's the type of guy who finds it inconvenient when he has to attend to a medical situation that his wife, our mom, is going through, whether it be falling and breaking an arm or the number of times she had to drive herself to the emergency room with kidney stones. He's also the type that doesn't promote growth, but promote the idea that family is everything and family comes first, in which reality is him first. Childhood trauma turned him into emotionally numb narcissist, a poison cloud that infected our household and killed our mom's spirit. A part of me fears how you may have been treated. I hope that you would not be neglected in life as you have been in death. It took 12 years to unite you both with a family, with no effort or help from Mom and Dad, only to abandon your ashes and have them dispersed without Vanessa and I knowing a damn thing until recently. You two are lucky to have not known our father the way Vanessa and I have. Although our time together may have been short, I hope we could have gotten along. I hope we could have had precious childhood memories together. No matter what challenges you would have faced in life, I would have given you my unwavering support. We are of the same bloodline. My brotherly love for you is infinite and unconditional. Somos familia siempre en la vida y después. Nos amo mucho. Tu hermano, Andresito.